On Welcome back to Two Marks and a Spark right here on the Lock 22 YouTube channel. Well, a lot of wrestling stuff happened this week. A lot of news came out this week.
Yes.
Uh, Surprisingly enough, me and Russ, I think, have an equal amount of news, and that never happens. Uh, but usually one of us has all of it, and it goes back and forth generally.
Yeah.
But I guess, big news of the week was CM Punk did indeed show up on Raw, as was announced. But we're going to talk about that because that didn't exactly go well. Uh,
Yeah.
Russ, I thought there was one bad show this week, and it's the one that's been bad
You're talking about the Saturday night program?
that I almost refuse to watch.
Well, it definitely seems to have lost its footing.
I
First
I'm gonna
couple
go,
of the first couple of weeks were just great.
I'm going to talk more about Collision later, but
Yeah.
I have lost all hope in that television show.
Well,
Oh
I don't
my god.
Saturday night wrestling ain't what it used to be.
Say that again. That might be the understatement of the freaking week. Century, maybe. Who knows? Well, let's get into Monday Night Raw here. Raw was live from Nashville, and this crowd was loud.
Yeah.
And Russ, a rare occurrence last week, as we tape this on a Monday again, I watched Raw live last week. And, I'll watch Raw live every once in a while, but most of the time I regret it. I did
Yes.
not regret watching Raw live last week.
Yeah.
I
Well,
actually thought Raw was all right.
were you surprised they didn't open with Punk? I'm glad they opened
Yes.
with Randy Orton, but I was surprised.
Um, Talking about Randy Orton, this guy is so over.
Yeah. He seems to be very happy to be home in the ring, so to speak.
And he comes out and he's dressed like the man in black. I mean, he's wearing black head to toe. And I'm thinking, okay, he's either going to start a feud tonight or they're going to put him on SmackDown Friday and they'll do that thing. They ended up doing that.
Right.
Uh and Randy Orton, we shit on guys for taking a long time to get to the ring. I will excuse Randy here because this guy was high-fiving everybody. He
Yeah.
stopped for a solid minute and signed an autograph for a kid. I will excuse Randy Orton in this case because he has been
Back.
off TV for God knows how long.
Yes.
Well, Orton does his whole song and dance. He does his like look at me pose on the ropes, and
Right.
then he cuts a promo, a very good promo
Yes. I thought it was great.
that was cut off by Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
And the highlight of this was perhaps the greatest line of Randy Orton's career.
Yeah.
He says something to the effect of, well, mommy, you can tell, or well, mommy, a lot's changed, but guess what? Daddy's back.
Daddy's back.
And the crowd
Yeah.
just lost their mind for this.
Yeah.
They have made this a t-shirt, by the way.
She should. It's just, I think everybody is just so glad to see Randy Orton. And, you realize how much we missed him.
This television program desperately needed him. I mean, specifically Raw, but I know he's going to be on SmackDown now, but Raw, specifically last week, really, really needed Randy. And this all ends up leading to a little bit of a brawl, and then a Randy Orton versus Dominic Mysterio match is set for the main event. I won't lie, I kind of rolled my eyes at this because I'm thinking, guys, you just got Randy back. You're putting him in there with Dominic? Really? And then I remembered, wait, he's probably going to end up in a feud with the Bloodline over on SmackDown. This doesn't matter.
This would be a good match for Dominic, actually.
Yeah. And then we have a tag team turmoil match. This was fine.
Tag team turmoil. Now, how many? We had 5 teams? Or
5 or 6.
yeah.
The Creed brothers end up getting the win. Funny enough, DIY looked the best out of everybody in this match, even though they lost.
Yeah. But I'm very impressed with the Creed brothers. Uh, I know they've been on NXT for a while, have they not? I haven't
Been there
seen
for a
since I
long
don't watch
time.
NXT very much. I haven't seen a lot of them, but I everything I've seen since they came up to the main roster has been impressive. I think they really look good.
Well, they definitely looked their best once the New Day got in there. And
Yes.
if they don't do a Creed's New Day feud at some point,
Oh,
that's a
that'd be
missed
great.
opportunity. They do have a little bit of a thing going on with Imperium right now, and they had a very good. They actually got probably the longest out of everybody. Imperium and the Creeds were out there for almost 9 minutes in that individual bit of the match, and the Creeds end
That
up
part,
winning.
yeah, and that's a good part of the match, you know.
And Julius and Brutus are getting a tag team title match.
How
And
about
if that
that?
is not a 1990s WWF fucking last Tuesday in Texas
Oh yeah, exactly.
name. Uh
So there's a lot of that '90s stuff going on, right?
well, look at who's booking it.
What?
I
Yeah.
said,
Oh,
look who's
exactly.
booking.
Exactly. Exactly.
Look at who's booking, and then you'll realize very quickly, oh wait, that's
Yeah.
why. Because the guy booking it, his heyday was the 90s. So we get a very funny R-Truth segment with the Judgment Day.
Oh, by the way, did you notice that the first hour of the show was without commercials?
Yeah, that's why I thought they'd put Punk out there early.
Exactly. That's why I figured for sure. Yeah, but our truth is always great.
R-Truth, although they've relegated him to a comedy bit, he is very good at it. Um, we get a Cody Rhodes promo.
Cody, yes.
Uh, I love Cody, and this was a great promo.
First entrance in the Royal Rumble.
And I thought Punk would declare.
Yeah,
I thought
I was. We all expected that. Yep, they swerved us, didn't they?
I thought Punk was going to declare next. Now they have not announced. That does not mean it's not going to happen. They have not announced Punk for Raw tonight.
Oh,
Again,
right.
that doesn't mean anything because
Exactly.
they don't announce anything for Raw. So, well, they do announce stuff for Raw, but I've noticed that they kind of like it depends on the time of year. And it also depends on who's playing on Monday Night Football. I don't think they're worried about tonight's Monday Night Football game, like at all. It's Jags, Bengals, and Joe Burrow was hurt. So I don't think they care. So
Right.
they're just not going to announce anything. But
Right.
if it was like Chiefs, Eagles again, they would be announcing everything
Mm-hmm.
because they know they're fighting football. Uh, Shinsuke Nakamura cuts this whole thing off anyway,
Yeah.
and ends up misting Cody. So it looks like we're
Right.
getting Cody versus
Right.
Shinsuke.
He's the artist now, isn't he?
Yeah,
Shinsuke.
he's
Right. Yeah. Remember, he's an artist. Apparently, he's one of them artists that's tortured in the head.
oh, aren't they all?
His promos were tedious. Just to
I
me.
don't. I don't mind them because at least they've made the subtitles bigger. Remember the first 2 weeks where the subtitles were like the size of an ant
Exactly. Exactly.
and nobody could read them. Uh, then we had Bronson Reed and Ivar.
Ivar. Yeah. What is it?
What the hell was this? Okay, this went to a double
Somebody in
countout.
my family walked into the room when this was on and they said, "What the hell is Ivar supposed to be?"
Well, he's a Viking, but
He said, well, he's a Viking warrior.
this was a good match until the finish when they went to a double countout, which I don't like double countouts. Then
I
we
think
had
on rare occasion they might serve a purpose, but yeah.
a shockingly long Nia Jax match. This was 10 minutes.
Wow.
Nia Jax versus Zoe Stark, and it wasn't very good.
No, no, it wasn't. And it just I'm not continue to be underwhelmed with Nia Jax.
Zoe Stark,
And
God
everybody
bless her, she
says
tried her best.
every time she comes back, some people will say, well, she does work a little better. She's gotten a little better. And I said, well, hell, she was so bad there's no place to go but up. She had to get better. Couldn't get any worse.
Well, God bless Zoe Stark. She really tried to do something here. And
Yes, she did.
again, this match being bad was not Zoe's fault.
Right. Well, I
Because
think part of the thing
Zoe,
with Nia Jax too is that I don't think she's ever had a real good connection with the fans overall. And when she talks, she's never really gotten any warm fuzzies from the fans.
no, definitely not. And that did not change here.
Right. Well, she comes across like a big mean bully and a bitch.
She got almost no reaction.
Yeah.
We got an Imperium segment. We got an Imperium segment backstage that I think got more reaction than the entirety of the last match.
Yeah.
Miz wants another shot at Gunther. Gunther basically told him to piss off.
Right. Exactly.
Uh, Seth Rollins makes his way to the ring. We go into the tail end of the show here. And the announcers, Cole and Wade, and Cole and Wade, basically say that that the last pay-per-view Survivor Series was the most watched Survivor Series ever.
Really? Yeah.
But that is not hard when you remember the first, I don't know how many Survivor Series were on pay-per-view. Which, if you remember correctly, Survivor Series for a lot of years there was shit.
Sure. Yeah.
We had the Seth Rollins promo that gets cut off by Drew McIntyre. This ends in a giant kerfuffle.
Right. And he insulted CM Punk that when unanswered, you know. I'm sure there was a lot of fans in attendance there was waiting for the music to hit and
Well, they're building towards Punk versus Seth.
Let's start this feud, they're saying.
They're building towards Punk versus Seth. I won't be surprised if that's at Mania and not the Rumble. I know I saw some people talking about it was going to be at the Rumble. No, it's not.
Well,
they're not going to blow that at the Rumble.
Bad. They could build to something else here.
Then Jey Uso makes the save, and they announce Jey Uso is getting a World Heavyweight title match on Raw.
Right.
Meaning he is going to lose.
Sure. We know that.
Zayn confronts McIntyre. This basically ends in Zayn saying, I want to fight you, and McIntyre saying, go for it.
Right. Which that'd be fine.
Zayn versus McIntyre gets announced for Raw next week. Or this week.
Tonight as we record this.
Chelsea and Piper against Natalya and Tegan. This sucked.
Well, it did. I didn't think it was a good chemistry. I like Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. It's the Natalya and Tegan Knox that just.
I love Tegan Knox. Tegan Knox is fucking great, but.
Well, you know, this was a very, very average match, you know.
Yes, and
no, it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great.
Chelsea and Piper retain, no surprise. And then we get a lot of stalling. for no reason.
Yeah. There was, I read that there was some kind of delay, or there was a timing issue having to do with the Dominic versus Orton match.
Which wasn't very long, by the way.
Right.
That match only went 10 minutes, and then Punk comes out at the end of the show. Anyway, Orton versus Dominic, good match. Uh, Orton carried it and got the win with a little help from Jelly Roll, who was there. And Orton wins with an RKO. Very standard Raw match in terms of a main event, and Orton wins, and it seems like we'll talk about Orton later because we will.
This Jelly Roll, has he ever been on a wrestling program before that you know of?
I think he was on an indie show once.
I just I can't remember where I've seen him on television before, but I can't remember.
He's a country music star. That's why.
Country?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we got the CM Punk promo. Worth
Right.
note.
Which seemed a little kind of little. He only had like 6 minutes.
He had 7, and it did get cut short.
Yeah. This is not the promo that I expected.
It was all mushy gushy.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucked.
And it's like afterwards I thought though, is he being insincere on purpose? Is he deliberately, because the last thing he said was, I'm here to didn't come here to make friends, I came here to make money, which either was a kind of a dig at the Bucks, but also this could be like he's a heel from day one and he's being all sincere and great to be home just to be a smart ass, you know. That wouldn't shock me.
The thing that got the biggest pop out of this was the AJ Lee reference, which I thought was hilarious. I thought,
right,
out of everything he said, the AJ Lee line got the most reaction.
Yes.
Which, again, I think there's been reports that there's been no talk about her coming back. I don't know if I believe that.
Last I read, they said that she had established a successful writing career and was not interested in returning.
Here's the thing. She's going to be in the Rumble. Let's just throw that out there now. She's probably going to be in the Rumble.
That would be a big surprise.
And they probably want to keep it a surprise. And they're probably not sure yet, but they're trying to get her into the Rumble. And it could be like the CM Punk thing, where they're just not going to say anything and nobody knows about it, but it's just
he never mentioned her when he was in AEW, did he? I don't remember.
One time. Very early.
He talked about Larry more than he did her.
Which is hilarious in and of itself.
Which,
Speaking of AEW.
Yeah.
They did one good show this week, and it was Dynamite. They were in Minneapolis at the Target Center. I was not there.
Yeah. But
and thank God I wasn't.
Oh. This is where we started off with well, hey, by the way, what do you think of what's your thoughts on the Continental Classic?
I like it.
I don't think it's too complicated. I heard one commentary saying that it was that grid, that's too confusing. That's worse than algebra. I said, no,
it's a point system. How is that complicated?
It's not complicated. It's just it's not a traditional tournament, so some people got to pick on it, you know.
Well, this crowd sucked, and I don't think it was their fault.
No, you think it was just because they're from the Midwest?
No, I think it was because that's a 20,000 seat building that they put 5,000 people in.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then you got to cut berries off and photograph it just right.
And that's exactly what they did. And they didn't like it very well. This building felt cavernous. This was a small crowd, not smaller than the one they had Saturday, because that was depressing.
Yeah, I understand they're not doing real well.
Well, Devlin and me were talking about this Wednesday night. I was talking to Devlin during the show on Wednesday, and he
Mhm.
made the point that he's like, and he's right. He's like, they don't promote it at all.
No, not really.
So how the hell are they going to sell tickets if they aren't promoting it?
Yeah,
And then he also made the point that the pay-per-views are selling tickets well, which they are. The pay-per-views are selling well in terms of tickets, but the TV
right,
could be better.
right. But they even with pay-per-views, they have to. Pay-per-views now. WWE is basically now we got the premium live events, monthly subscription fee. There you go. Y'all, you just have to be willing to deal with the cock. Some people don't want to deal with the cock.
And I won't, by the way, I have heard pretty reliably that that's probably going to go to Amazon, the network.
It is not.
It is going to Amazon.
Okay.
And from everything I've heard,
Pardon me.
Raw will probably end up on Amazon as well. Or maybe it stays on Peacock just because they are keeping SmackDown on NBC.
Sure.
They could just keep the network on Peacock. I don't know. John Moxley versus Jay Lethal kicked this show off. This was fun, but not great.
Yeah. Jay Lethal, my favorite Ring of Honor champion of all time.
Fun, but not great describes this show largely. Good match, not great. Moxley wins. Lethal's on the bubble, and Moxley has 6 points.
Yeah.
Every match pretty much was a Gold League match in the Continental Classic because they've got to cram all those in. It seems like they're doing the Gold League on Dynamite and the Blue League on Collision.
The Blue on Collisions.
Which makes me wonder why they didn't call it the Red League because Collision.
Sure. Well,
but
what do you think of Eddie's little he had a little pre-tape promo, Eddie Kingston. And boy, this didn't sound like him. This came across as like he was really whining about losing to Brody last week. Brody King.
Yeah. I think they're going to turn him heel.
Oh, yeah. I hope so. I think he'd be better as a heel.
And then we get 8 minutes, I do believe. Or was it 3? I don't know. It felt like forever. This fucking Ric Flair Sting interview. Oh my God.
Boy, I tell you, Ric Flair is not getting over with this AEW crowd.
Supposedly, whatever the hell he said on Rampage was worse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I read about that. Whatever it was cut out of the show. Did you read? Apparently, he had said something about he wanted all of the women in the crowd ages 18 to 28 to meet him at his motel room, and don't bring along your boyfriends or husbands. And I thought, you see, Rick, people think of you as an old creepy pervert now. You know?
Everybody already thought he was an old creepy pervert.
Yeah, but he's just like cementing his legacy.
Like, that's going to be your legacy, but you've accepted that.
Oh, no, I'm not that bad.
No, I would certainly hope not. Well, speaking of old creepy perverts, this goes on forever.
Yeah.
Ric Flair cuts the worst promo about Greensboro you've ever heard.
Yeah, this was all about Greensboro, North Carolina. The only thing that would, I tell you what, I swear they're going to bring it back as Surfer Sting and his surfer makeup.
I thought Cornette was going to come out there. I thought Cornette was going to show up on TV, and I was like, oh my God, they're going to bring Cornette in. For as much as they were talking about Greensboro,
I think the crowd, the crowd might riot.
oh my God, can you imagine if Cornette might show up at Revolution, and I wouldn't even be that like shocked. I'd just be like, yep,
Well, I don't think he's interested, but you never know.
it is Sting.
Yes.
Sorry, it's Sting.
Right. Yeah, this did go on a little bit too long. You are right.
What didn't go on too long was Roosh versus Mark Briscoe. This was a very good match.
Yes, it was. I liked it. It didn't go on too long. It was just about right.
And Roosh gets the win. He gets 3 points. Briscoe's on the bubble.
Blanco de Toro. Or Toro de Blanco. Which is it?
I don't know.
Sorry. My apologies.
And then we get MJF cutting a fantastic promo
Yeah.
that leads to some hokey dokey bullshit. So MJF's out there and he's cutting a promo
The masked people.
confirming he has a partially torn labrum,
Right.
which we already knew. He brings it up that he's going to fight Samoa Joe on December 30th at World's End, and
Right.
so on and so forth.
You did a good job of putting Joe over, I thought.
And then we get just the stupidest fucking shit. So the lights go out. And then they come back on. And it's these three dudes. They're not even wearing devil masks anymore.
Yeah.
They're just wearing balaclavas now. And they beat the shit out of him.
Right. And Joe saves him.
And then the lights go out again forever. Or the screen went black for a long time. And I wrote down.
Get tired of the lights going on and off in this show. Go ahead.
And then we get this shit. This hacker bullshit. And I wrote this down. In the shadows, our game begins. What?
Yeah.
Next week, MJF and Samoa Joe, will you face the unknown in a tag match? Are you a hero, Max?
The unknown. So who's this going to be?
Mustafa Ali, for all I know.
Yeah. It could be.
Wouldn't surprise me at this point.
Yeah.
MJF said himself that he is sick of the Scooby-Doo bullshit.
Scooby-Doo. Yeah, you dang kids.
Which, I'll be honest, I'm also sick of the Scooby-Doo bullshit.
Right.
I agree with you, Max. He then accepts the match, and Joe gets mad, and they go to commercial. Wardlow versus AR Fox. This was a squash.
Yeah, squish, squash, splat. Done. AR Fox, he's got to be wondering, why did I come to the company?
He's got to be wondering, why the hell am I here?
Right. Yeah, well,
frankly,
this is another one where the referee stopped the match because, we didn't see him slam the guy 5 times like he used to. I like the gimmick of the referee stoppage that they use in AEW. It makes sense, and it gives it it makes it look more real.
It's more of a judgment call.
Yep, and it's like, hey, you already killed this guy. There's no need to murder him.
Stop it! He's already dead.
Right.
We hit Excalibur talking about Dante Martin, and they show that stupid ladder spot that he did back in March at Ring of Honor, that ladder match that he shattered his leg. I thought he was dead.
Yeah, Top Flight and Action Andretti
Against the
versus the
Hardys and
Hardys.
Brothers A. I thought this
Brother
was
Zay, Brother Zay.
I thought this was mediocre at best.
Yeah, and here's the thing, you've got the Hardys, one of the biggest tag teams in the history of the business, and look how
Isaiah Cassidy.
look how they're being used now. And I never even heard of Brother Zay. Sorry, Brother Zay. No offense,
He
but
was formerly one half of Private Party.
oh, that Brother Zay. Okay, Private Party has been long gone, haven't they?
I don't know what the hell happened to Mark Quinn. I think they fired him.
Right. But the
We get,
brothers are back together, the Martin brothers.
well, Action and the Martins get the win. Of course, they were in Minnesota, so you knew Top Flight was probably going to win that.
Yeah, they're Minnesota boys, aren't they?
Yes. And then we had the Renee Paquette interview with Top Flight again, and Penta and them challenged
Sure.
Top Flight in Action.
You got
Anyway,
Benta and Commander and the Viking, right?
yeah. And then the surprise of the night. And it wasn't a surprise that it happened, it was a surprise in terms of reaction. We get the TBS title match between Julia Hart and Emi Sakura. Julia Hart probably got the biggest reaction of the entire night.
Yeah.
I mean, this woman got a standing fucking ovation.
And I agree, and I want to give credit where credit's due. I think part of the reason why this match was so good was because of Emi Sakura. The way they worked together really well. I thought this was better than average for the women's matches we've been getting lately. This was really well done.
In terms of AEW, yes.
Yeah.
The WWE women's matches have all been phenomenal lately for some reason. Julia Hart, who just continues to get better and better, I feel like, goes out there and has this kick-ass match with
a veteran. Yeah.
With Emi Sakura. And Julia Hart is so fucking over with this crowd.
Yeah. Well, that shows the whole House of Black is over, not just her.
Well, she might be, in terms of this crowd, because they were in Minnesota, Julia Hart was maybe the most over person on the show. Other than Christian.
They were chanting her name. Yep, they were chanting her name. When they start chanting your name, that's a pretty good sign you've arrived.
And Julia retains the title, which is no surprise.
Right.
If they were going to have Emi Sakura win it, they wouldn't have done it here. Because I think if Julia Hart would have lost this match, they would have had a real problem on their hands.
Oh, I know. That's why I always like a hometown crowd. Whether the wrestler's a heel or a babyface, I always like it when they get to win in front of a hometown crowd.
I am not sure there wouldn't have been a massive incident had Emi Sakura won this match.
They would have been chanting other things.
They would have been chanting refund, I think.
Yeah.
They might have even started chanting WWE. I honestly wouldn't be that stunned. RJ's in the back with Mariah May. I thought this was fucking great.
Yeah.
She goes into Tony's office. I would assume we're going to see Mariah May wrestle soon because they are getting her over like wildfire.
Yeah.
And then we got the best segment on this entire fucking show.
Are you talking about the patriarch?
Christian comes out, and this guy gets damn near booed out of the building.
Oh yeah.
This was a quiet crowd all night, with the exception of a few spots, and this was one of them. They would not stop booing. They were booing this man.
Right.
They did not care.
No. No, but this segment stole the show, really.
And Christian's out there, and he wants Adam Copeland to come out there so they can talk. And Adam doesn't answer. And he doesn't answer. And, and I don't know what the hell was going on, but they couldn't get his music to go. For a second, I thought he was gonna swerve us and say, "Oh wait, you're not here,"
Right.
because this would be the Dynamite that Adam Copeland doesn't show up to. It's in Minnesota. Why would he?
Yeah.
And then the production gaffe of a lifetime. So Cage plays babyface for a minute and starts reminiscing with Adam,
Right. But the good old days.
and this goes on for a while. And then he's like, "I want to apologize. I've been an asshole," which he was about as unsincere as you can be. He goes to hit Adam with the title when Copeland turns his back. Copeland kicks him in the nuts.
Right.
And then he says, "I'll see you next week in Montreal." Oh, and I forgot, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. See, here you go. Live TV. You can't stop them.
That didn't get censored. Where's right to censor when you need them?
Oh, yeah. Stevie Richards. Yeah, this whole segment gets an A plus as far as I'm concerned. But here you got the baby face with the profanity and the low blow. That just shows you how dire the situation is.
Well, we're going to get it Wednesday. It's going to be Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage. I only have one question. Why the fuck are you doing this on free TV, Tony?
Yeah. Adam, Christian did slip up and call Killswitch Luchasaurus. Did you hear that? He tripped up there just a little bit.
Well,
Because I remember Morrison, I thought Luchasaurus. I thought he was dead.
I thought this whole segment was brilliant.
Well, Cage is so good at being a disingenuous slime ball. You know what I mean?
He is a scumbag.
Yep. Yeah.
And then we get a fantastic main event. Swerve Strickland against the Switchblade Jay White.
Liked it. Very good.
Loved this match. Swerve gets the win. I won't be surprised if Swerve wins this whole thing.
Yeah. He's really on a tear, isn't he?
And Prince Nana dancing with the crutch was just hilarious.
That's great. But once again, Jay White, he's losing a lot here.
I want to go through SmackDown rather quickly.
All right.
Only because I have a lot to talk about with Collision. There's not a lot to talk about with this SmackDown episode. SmackDown was fine. Okay. It was a good SmackDown. It was not.
Yeah.
It was not an all-time great show.
I watched this one on Hulu, so I got the hour and 20-minute version.
You got the full show because they put the full episode of SmackDown on there with just no ads.
Yep.
SmackDown was fine. We had a Bianca Belair promo. This is just to follow up with more Damage Control stuff.
Sure. We brawled a little. Charlotte, Bianca, Shotzi, Damage Control. Damage Control is about 5 people now, isn't it?
Yep. Um, I want to point out that Damage Control is probably the best thing on SmackDown when Roman Reigns isn't there.
Yeah.
Like when Roman's not there, Damage Control is probably the best thing on TV every week.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
credit to Dakota Kai because that woman has a very serious injury and she's still showing up to fucking TV.
yeah. Yes, she is.
And she's a Twitch streamer too. She's a full-time streamer and showing up to TV even though she's hurt. She has a very serious knee injury. I don't
Yeah,
remember exactly what she did. I
damn.
think she tore her ACL.
Oh, damn. That's not good.
And then we got Bobby Lashley versus Butch.
Yeah,
Bobby Lashley got one hell of a pop here.
he sure did.
And he gets the win, even though he's the heel. He got one hell of a pop. And kind of the through line of the night was Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce fighting over Randy Orton like petulant children. This was great.
Yeah. Well, I had a feeling that Randy Orton was going to be coming to SmackDown because it seemed like definitely Raw's going to be, they're going to be
Punk.
settling in with CM Punk, right?
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah. And right now, Randy Orton, it'll be interesting to see how him being there, it's going to play out when Roman comes back.
Roman will be back in Green Bay on December 15th. So not this week, but next week.
Mm-hmm. Right. Then we got Joaquin Wilde getting his ass stomped into the ground by Santos Escobar.
This took way longer than it needed to.
What's that?
This took way longer than it should have.
Oh, yeah. This could have been a very, very quickly done squash match.
They went to almost 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And Escobar killed him. After the match, Escobar starts killing him more, and then finally Dragon Lee comes out, and that was the end of that.
Yeah. And Dragon Lee got a big pop from the crowd. They were chanting his name, too.
Then we got Logan Paul.
Then our buddy came back, didn't he?
And there's going to be a U.S. title tournament to determine the number one contender.
Right. Yeah. He said Santos Escobar, Bobby Lashley, Dragon Lee, Karrion Kross. Ooh, I've forgotten about him. Austin Theory, Grayson Waller, Kevin Owens, and an unannounced superstar from NXT. Any idea who that
Wesley.
could be? Who?
Could be Wesley. Could be Wesley. Could be.
Yeah.
Hell, it could be Baron Corbin. I don't know.
Yeah. Haven't seen him in a long time.
He is doing. I don't watch NXT very often. I'll watch clips or whatever. Baron Corbin is doing fucking wonderfully down in NXT. That guy is great.
That's good.
See,
he can be a bigger fish in a smaller pond. You know what I mean?
NXT's not such a small pond anymore.
Well, I just meant compared to Raw, you know.
Well, yeah, compared to Raw, but
yeah.
One could argue they're doing better than AEW is right now in certain aspects.
I think so, yeah.
Women's division, looking at you. Which is funny because it's Shawn Michaels booking it, the guy who is like known for having almost no respect for women. Anyway.
Right.
Or historically he did. Don't want to comment on the guy now. He's a reborn Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck you.
Some people have claimed, oh, yeah, that's for sure. They've seen solid evidence of it. And other people have worked with him and said, they think it's a work. Because he said he still treated me like a jerk. So
Well, anyway, this Logan Paul segment went on way too long, and it did lead to Kevin Owens versus Grayson Waller. This
Correct.
was a great match.
Yeah. Once they finally, like you said, once they finally got it going.
And then we got Bianca Belair versus Kairi Sane. This was fucking great.
Kyrie saying, I had forgotten when I
How
first
good she
saw her
was
at the tournament several
at
years
the
back.
Saudi show.
Yeah. Yeah, this was pretty good.
She is fucking incredible. Bianca's problem, and my problem with Bianca has never been her in-ring work because she's great.
Yeah.
And it looks like we're inevitably going to her versus EO again.
Right.
Um, and then we finally get the Randy Orton is going to put his name on paper.
Right.
And this segment was like straight out of 2005.
Yeah, but that's all right. It was okay.
This was a very good segment, but it was straight out of 2005. I mean, Pierce and Aldis, who are great, by the way. I wasn't sure how Aldis was going to do with this GM thing. He's great. And we all know Adam Pierce is great. Like, Adam Pierce is an American treasure and should be protected at all costs.
Neither one of those guys have wrestled for a long time, have they?
Aldis wrestled earlier this year. Pierce hasn't wrestled in quite a few years.
But are they capable of wrestling? Because
I think Aldis is going to work a match with Owens at Mania.
okay, yeah, I thought it'd be interesting to see the managers wrestle each other. That'd be a good gimmick.
Because they can both go. I mean, Pierce is really good in the ring, and Aldis is fantastic. Well, anyway, this whole thing leads to Paul Heyman coming out and him basically saying, "Don't sign with SmackDown. You're safe on Raw." Bloodline come out. They start to beat him up. Pierce and Aldis run away. And they stand ringside as Randy Orton and LA Knight just absolutely murder the Bloodline. And finally,
Yeah.
Randy Orton RKO's both Solo. Well, he didn't RKO Solo. He RKO'd Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso was dead. Jimmy Uso sold this RKO like he'd just been shot and was dead. There's video after the show went off air of him still laying there, even after Randy had left the ring. Jimmy Uso is just dead.
They don't, that's called selling.
Well, he looked dead.
Yeah.
He looked like a dead body being rolled around.
Yeah. I want to see, you guys want to see a dead body?
Randy Orton again uses the line, and I thought it was fucking great the way he used it here. He says, and I quote, "You can call Roman Reigns and you can tell him, Daddy's back."
Daddy's back. Yep.
And then he signs the SmackDown contract and they celebrate as they go off the air.
Exactly. Not too bad a show. It was okay.
It was a good show. What was not a good show?
You're talking about Saturday night is not all right for fighting?
No, it's definitely not.
Saturday night was all right for fighting, and you're telling me that it's not all right for fighting.
No, sir. Not when Tony Khan's doing the booking.
Okay. We had 3 big matches for the Blue League here.
All of them were good.
Yeah, but there was other things on the show too. Let's talk about the whole mess.
This show sucked. So we got Brody King and Claudio Castagnoli. This was a great match. Brody gets the win.
By the way, they're in Pennsylvania. They're in Erie, right?
Uh-huh. I don't know how many tickets they... Let's actually... Hang on. It goes without saying that both WWE shows were sold out this week.
Well, these are large venues, but small shows.
Well, hang on. I'm going on WrestleTix. Timeout.
Sure.
Worth noting, Raw tonight only has 360 tickets left available.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Well,
so this Erie, Pennsylvania crowd was eerily small. 2,258 was the final update from WrestleTix.
wow. That's small.
Actually, the final count ended up being 2,000, just a little over 2,000. According to WrestleTix, that was tickets distributed, by the way. It was 2,000.
That'd be a hell of a turnout for an independent promotion if they weren't AEW.
And yeah. The final count, once everybody was in the door, it looked like about 17 to 1,800 people. And it felt like it.
Yeah.
This show felt minor leagues. This felt like a double A baseball game. And not in a good way. Claudio and Brody opened the show. They had arguably the second best match on the show, and the only good thing we'd see for about the next hour and a half.
It was a good match. Of course, it's kind of hard to have a bad match with those two. Yeah. And then what happened?
And then we got a John Moxley promo. It was fucking great. And that was the last good thing on the show for a really, really, really long time.
And then
This show was 2 hours, and I felt like it went on and on and on and on. This show never ended. I'm certain they're still in that building in Erie. They haven't left. They're still
well,
going.
the next was the Kier Hogan of Abaddon, or did I miss something?
No, that's it.
Yeah, that was nothing to get excited about. I believe I fast forwarded through that match, so I really can't say.
It was
But
garbage.
it ended with the lights going on and off and Julie Hart standing there. But then we get the neck brothers, the strong neck guys, in a little skit with Samoa Joe.
The Kingdom, yeah.
Yeah,
As Kingdom segments go, this wasn't very good.
right.
Only because they didn't have very much time. Hang on. I'm looking for something here. I'm looking for my exact reaction to when Kira Hogan and Abaddon started. Because I was texting Devlin. Hang on. And I quote, here's what I said. Why the fuck is Abaddon on TV? And then I said, oh, good Lord, this is going to be a mess. Kira Hogan versus Abaddon.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, Abaddon wins a 4-minute match that went absolutely nowhere and did nothing for anybody. Devlin said, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just kind of
the appropriate reaction for this match.
I just kind of fast forwarded through it. So
it was 4 minutes. And it wasn't the worst match on the show. That's how bad this show was, in my opinion. Andrade El Idolo versus Daniel Garcia. I did not like this as much as everybody else did.
And this had commentary from Matt Menard.
That was also awful.
Yeah. But to see this time, he didn't dance and he still lost. He dances and he loses, and then he doesn't dance and he still loses. Maybe he's just a loser. Actually, he's a pretty good wrestler, but Yeah, I don't know if they're using them the best.
I did not enjoy this match, mostly because by this point in the show, I had given up.
Right. Yeah,
Once you
but
put
the Willie Mack challenged Wardlow for next week, and I thought I'd rather see Willie Mack on this show right now. Willie Mack would liven things up a little bit. It would be better than what we're getting.
and then we got a recap of Wardlow beating up on AR Fox, and that leads to the Willie Mack thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I jumped ahead a little bit there, but
The Kingdom versus the Iron Savages.
Iron
This
Savage,
sucked.
yeah. Iron Savages, haven't these guys had 2 or 3 names in the last year?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why I can't keep track of these guys. They keep changing their name.
This was terrible. I love the Kingdom, but this sucked.
Yeah,
No buys,
yeah.
as Brian Alvarez used to say. No buys. Then we had Ethan Page backstage with W. Morrissey's fiance, Lexi Nair.
Oh, yeah. Right. Challenging Kenny Omega.
I made the note here. What in the fuck is this?
Well, they want to find out who's the true king of Canada, you see.
See, I'll enjoy this match, but
Yeah,
I had a lot of questions like, why is Lexi Nair on my television?
right.
Ethan Page is great, but why is Lexi Nair here? Um,
Haven't seen Ethan Page in a while.
well, he's in great shape,
Okay. Yeah.
and apparently he's been working Ring of Honor.
All ego, Ethan Page. Yeah.
Uh, and then we had House of Black versus Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal. A mere glint of hope on this show that would only go downhill from here.
Right. Uh, there's nothing wrong with Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal, but this really, uh, the crowd was very, very much in favor of the House of Black here. You know, they're supposed to be the bad guys, but the fans love them, so they're going to have to, switch things around a little, adjust for that.
I did not enjoy this only because, again, by this point in the show, I was distraught. I was,
Yeah.
this show was irreconcilable, like unrecoverable.
Well,
Timeless Tony,
yeah,
Timeless Tony Storm, basically said Sky Blue is getting a title match on Dynamite, which means they're going to beat Sky Blue again, which
right.
you know how I feel about that.
Yeah. Yeah, but Sky Blue said that she's going to shove that shoe right up her ass. So that'd be
Then,
interesting to see.
then we got Vikingo versus Kip Sabian in what was called a standby match.
Standby match.
In other words, we're stalling.
Right. Yeah. And that was the way I could predict who was going to win that because has Kip Sabian won a single match on television since he's been there? Not that I can remember ever not winning a single thing.
Anyway, this sucked. Viking O tried his best. He did not succeed.
Right.
I love Viking O, but this was just rotten. Lexi Nair is here again for some godforsaken reason. She is awful.
Yeah.
God bless her. I'm sure she's the nicest lady on the planet, but she is horrendous at these interviews.
Yeah.
We get a match between Shane Taylor and Keith Lee announced for Final Battle, a show I will not be watching.
Okay. Jay Taylor, Keith Lee, final battles. All right. When's that coming up?
I have no idea. I know
Well,
the ticket sales for it are
you're going
really
to worry
low.
about it because that's the Ring of Honor exclusive, right?
Yep. No, it's a pay per
December
view.
15th in Garland, Texas. If anyone's interested, here I found it here. It will be broadcast live exclusively for Honor Club subscribers only. There you go. So if you're already subscribed, you might as well watch it. Get to see Shane Taylor.
And Keith Lee.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm trying to find the Final Battle ticket sales. They're really low. I mean, they're tragic. Here we go. Ring of Honor Final Battle. They have sold as of December 1st, 996 of a possible 3,722.
Wow. Well,
Absolutely tragic.
oh man. But there's like small independent companies that can do that many tickets. You know,
I'm
one Ring
pretty
of
sure
Honor.
I'm pretty sure First Wrestling sold more tickets than that this last weekend.
That could be.
Anyway, then we got a CJ Perry segment where
With
she was
Miro?
with Miro.
Yeah. By the way, did you notice Miro's shirt?
What did it say?
Well, it's Miro the Redeemer, but the artistic style of it. I loved it, man. It looks like an Eastern Orthodox icon, which was he's like from the Eastern Church, the Bulgarian Church or whatever, and his gimmick is kind of based off of that. And I just thought it's cool because it looks like the style of art that's thousands of years old, but it's Miro the Redeemer. I might have to get one of those shirts.
And then we had the best thing on this show by a mile, Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston. In other news, the sun came up today. Not a
Yeah,
surprise.
right.
Oh, and Russ, did you know it rose in the east?
You're kidding me. When did that start happening?
The beginning of time?
I must have missed that part.
Anyway, Bryan Danielson had a fantastic match with Eddie Kingston. No
Right.
surprise.
Which keeps Eddie at 0 points so far. He's had 2 matches, hasn't won anything. With 3 titles on the line, he's going to have to start getting mean and nasty.
Well, Danielson gets the win. And now I'm going to go on a rant about Collision.
Tell us about it.
This show sucks. This felt like a really long episode of Rampage.
Rampage, that's one I haven't seen in a while.
There's a reason for that.
Right.
It's superstars. It's main event. It's not worth your time. Russ,
Yeah. What was the worst part of the show?
everything not the first and last match.
Yeah.
The second I heard Abaddon's music, I knew that show was fucked. I was like, oh my God, it's Abaddon. We're fucked.
Now, wasn't she at TNA for
No.
quite a long time? Ring
No.
of Honor?
No, she was just in catering.
All right. I know I've seen her somewhere before this, AEW, and it wasn't WWE. So I thought it might have been TNA or something.
Maybe a small indie show.
Could be.
I hate Collision, Russ.
That'd be the one you'd have to give up if you had to give up one wrestling show a week. That would be it.
If we ever get squeezed for time, We're just going to start cutting Collision. Like, if there's a big news thing that me and Russ want to talk about, we're just going to cut Collision off because fuck that show.
I haven't heard a lot of big news this week, other than that. Like I said, I chuckled when I read this article. Jay White has said that he's very disappointed in the booking in AEW, and he thought that the build up in his matches was lacking, and things were being. I thought in other words, exactly was so blatantly obvious. That he has. I think he's lost more matches than he's won since he came back here lately.
Um, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out he's good at pro wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a few things I want to talk about.
Yeah.
First of all, the Jay White thing, which no shit, Sherlock. Of course you're upset. You went to the wrong company. If you'd have gone to WWE, you'd probably have beat Seth already. And if I'm Will Ospreay, I'm having second thoughts right now.
Too late.
Fucking signer's remorse.
Yeah. Get cold feet. And he doesn't even debut till is it
February.
Wembley?
No, it's February.
Okay. Right.
And then
And
Matt Hardy came out and said pretty much the same thing Jay White did.
yes.
Again, no big surprises there.
And this is quite a turn of events though, because I read what Matt Hardy says, and for a long time he has been belligerently defensive of everything AEW was doing. So it's obvious the bloom is off the rose in that deal. But if you look at how they've been used, I would agree,
To
when
anybody that thought Mercedes Monet was going to even dare set foot in that company,
she
think
did.
again.
Yep.
Mercedes will not go to AEW. There is no way. I firmly believe at this point Sasha Banks is going to turn back up on WWE television
Yep.
any day now.
Well, if they can forgive CM Punk,
Took him
they
10
can
years.
certainly forgive her.
And look who was in charge when she left versus who is in charge now. They are not the same person.
Right. Exactly.
If you think for 1 second that Mercedes is dumb enough, and you know what? If Tony offers her like $5 million, she'll probably go. But Brian Alvarez said this. At this point, she would be stupid to go to AEW.
Right.
I mean, belligerently stupid.
Yeah. I think you're right.
If she is going to go to AEW, it is because WWE is not an option, which I firmly believe it is for her.
Yeah.
I think they want her back. They are referencing the Four Horsewomen on WWE television every single goddamn week.
That would get a big pop. Definitely.
It'll probably be the Royal Rumble. So,
Could be.
Russ, if you were Mercedes Monet and your options were go back to WWE and be Sasha Banks again and actually get pushed properly because the guy in charge actually knows what the hell he's doing.
Yeah.
Or go to AEW and have like 3 great matches and then probably get buried.
Got a good point there. Yeah.
And think about it. Britt Baker came out and said the same thing Jay White and freaking Matt Hardy have been saying.
Yeah. You're right.
I think that company's in trouble, dude, in terms of a TV deal. Not
Yeah.
financially. Financially, they're fine.
Well, when your family's millionaires, that means you're set for life. You can afford to have some failed business ventures.
I would not consider AEW a failure yet, considering the
No,
early returns on Wembley sales are very high
right.
for next year. They've already sold over 30,000 tickets for that show.
They
So,
sell more tickets there than they can here in the United States.
yeah, it's because they keep going to repeat markets here, though, because they keep going to the same markets over and over and over. They've done Long Island like 50 times,
Sure. But
but
that's why you're only going to get, that means you're only getting your hardcore wrestling fans. I mean, and when you sell out, that means you got the casual fans and you're obviously doing something right. But AEW is a long ways away from that.
I mean, they get casual fans at their pay per views. I mean, the capacity at World's End is like 9,000, and I think they're at 8.5 or 8.8.
Mhm.
So they're going to sell that out.
Yeah.
I think they'll sell out World's End. And 8 or 9,000 people is nothing to shake your head at, you
Right.
know. But like, they're also supposedly the second biggest company in the country.
Right.
They're not the second biggest company in the world.
Correct.
That is New Japan.
Yeah. I figured it would be one of the Japanese companies in New Japan, right?
They are probably third in the world right now behind WWE and New Japan. And in terms of booking, they might be behind Impact. Because I think Impact's doing some pretty cool shit.
Impact soon to be known once again as TNA here, I think, starting next year.
Russ, do you want to start watching Impact? I
Hey,
think we
I'll watch anything at least once.
I think Impact's a good show. Devlin shits on me because he says TNA isn't relevant. Well, most pro wrestling outside of WWE is not relevant
Yeah,
at this point.
that was good entertainment, right?
Now, don't get me wrong, TNA was awful for a long time. Well, Russ, are you excited for World's End at the end of the month?
The end of the world. You mean it's finally going to get here?
Unless
Why?
you
My God, you mean all the radio preachers that were wrong and they said the end of the world was coming, but now you're saying you know the date, the time. People, send your money to
to
Pastor
me.
Ben.
Don't send it to me, send it to Tony. He's the one that named the show.
There you go. Yeah,
Actually, don't give Tony Khan
world's
any of your
end. The
money.
world's end. It could be the end of the world.
I would presume MJF is going to lose the title.
And this would be on Saturday, the 30th of December.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon I could probably watch that. I'm glad it's
Are we
not on.
going to do a show that weekend? I have no clue.
Yeah.
I I would assume so,
Yeah. I'll be
but
glad to do the show.
I don't know if we're going to want to do a show on New Year's Eve, but
Well, on the evening of New Year's Eve, I'm going to be busy shooting off fireworks, weather permitting.
well, let's hope we can do a World's End review show. If we don't, well, we'll do it a week later.
It won't
Uh,
be the end of the world.
well, Russ,
Yes.
your final thoughts on Collision being a monster of a shit show.
I enjoyed the two matches that we described. Everything else I was a little dismayed at. Uh,
Are you excited for Julia Hart versus Abaddon? That I'm sure is just going to be a total fuckfest.
yeah, they could do better than that. Yeah. Anything you're looking forward to this evening for Raw? Anything in particular?
I just love the Judgment Day, man. I know everybody raves about the Bloodline, but dude, the Judgment Day is so good.
Yep. And I enjoy. I tell you who else is getting a push now. I'm enjoying Pretty Dangerous or Pretty Deadly. I mean,
Oh, Pretty Deadly's great. They've been great.
Kit Wilson and Elton Prince. Is that it? Elton Prince. Oh boy, what a couple of characters. They can kick ass too.
Well, we will be back here to kick your ass next week.
Yes, we will.
Hopefully Collision doesn't suck.
Well, it might, but we're going to watch it anyway. We'll talk about it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, if you're a child and watching this, what the fuck are you doing? Anyway,
Right.
see what I did there? What the
Yep.
fuck are you doing? All right, everybody have a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye bye.
Russ, thanks for being here.
Yep.
We'll see you next week. Go check out NFL, everything else here on Lock 22. Like, comment, subscribe. Bye bye.